So, for most of y'all that don't really know, I also happen to be on a TV show. I'm a host and panelist on this TV show called The Men's Conference on TV 47. And the episode that we did this past week was on the idea of the threesome. And, not just any, but the devil's threesome. And there was this whole question of, would you have a devil's threesome, with like your partner or with somebody? And, I'm not even going to lie. Before we went in and hit record and everything, while guys were busy prepping, while the crew were busy sort of like prepping so that we can do the whole recording, I sort of just decided to ask the other guys, because it's me and two other guys and one babe. I asked the other guys if they'd be down to have like a devil's threesome with their babe. And to be very honest, if we took our honest answers, because I was asked and I gave my answer, if we took our honest answers and went to them on the show, I will tell you for a fact that show would have ended in 3 minutes. Because, we all were like, no, we wouldn't. But because we had the show to do, and the show had to at least, last the full runtime of around 30 minutes and shit, what I did and what I think one of my other co-hosts did is, instead of going flat out and saying no, we just sat down for a second and we thought to ourselves, if we were to let it happen, what would we, allow? What would be the conditions that would make us be like, all right, fine, this is something that I could actually do. And I was actually being questioned about it by some of my friends, and it was one of those situations where guys were like, no, we had a couple of issues with what it is that you were saying. And I was like, all right, what exactly was it? Because I think the main standout points were my first response to whether I'd have a devil's threesome. And I was like, yeah, but the third guy would have to be the cameraman. Of which, obviously, like, people are like, no, but that's not a devil's threesome. That's just, you guys making a sex tape. And there was also that whole thing of, if I am to do it, then the guy that's involved is not a close friend of mine, or, a homie, a bro, a best friend, none of that. And the babe isn't my girlfriend. Like, we shouldn't be dating. I shouldn't be close to the homie. Then I'd be like, all right, fine, cool, I can live with it. And because these friends of mine were babes, they were like, why were you being so particular? Why were you being so specific? Why can't you do it with your babe? Because y'all are always about, I'd want to have a threesome. But when it comes to the idea of having another guy instead of another babe, that's where you guys draw the line. And considering that the idea of the threesome is becoming a lot more common, I'd probably understand why babes wouldn't understand why it is that we prefer threesomes with two babes instead of two guys. And while some guys might be okay and they might permit it, they'll probably also have conditions as to how it is they'd be okay with such a thing happening, which is kind of the same exact place where I was. Because when I brought up the whole idea of, let the third guy be the cameraman, it was just my way of saying, what, I am not a fan of it. It's not something that I'd actually be open to doing, very quickly. Like, it's something that I might probably have to warm up to. And I know that that's the same case for a lot of other guys. And to be quite honest, there's a bunch of reasons for it. I don't think there's one particular reason, and I don't think every single one of the reasons is going to be the same for every single guy. But I do think that some will appeal to other guys, and, some other bits will appeal to, another subset of guys. And to be honest, I think one of the first reasons is I simply do not want to see my woman being banged by a guy while I can see them. Like, it seems weird to kind of say that, but just the thought of it, because it actually scares a lot of guys in closed relationships. Open relationships, it might be arguable, and maybe if you're a guy that's into voyeurism, so you don't mind seeing your babe get fucked before you fuck them, is something that will be understandable. So in that case, you can understand why those guys would be okay with their babe being banged while they saw it. But now, for us guys, we don't want to see that. And yes, I'm sure there's someone who's like, no, but we watch porn and there's a guy that's banging a babe. Why don't we have a problem with that? Well, we know for a fact that that's not our babe, and that's someone who's been paid to be fucked. And more so than that, we know that we're never getting a chance with that woman. So we don't really have to care about whether there's a guy that's doing it. It's just the fact that they're giving us the visual stimulation so we can go and do our thing. But if I see my babe getting screwed by another guy, like there's a certain kind of disgust that I'll probably get. So that's, I think, one of the bigger reasons. Then second of all, there's the whole kind of dick measuring contest that's there. And yes, there's the physical dick measuring contest where, you don't want to look at another guy's dick and you don't want to look at another guy in the face. Like, that's some shit that guys will more or less have as a rule if you're going in for a devil's threesome. And, looking at another guy's dick, you might compare it to your own. You might feel like yours a little bit small, or, you might feel like, that person is definitely doing a lot more work than he probably should. And that will bring an insecurity. And on top of that, there's the skill level. Like, there's guys that know how to fuck properly. Like, there's guys that really, really know how to pleasure a babe. And then there's you that's just, pumping. And all of a sudden, you don't want to be that guy that all of a sudden, due to his low skill level or small size, gets relegated to only receiving head. Like, I don't think there's any guy that wants to be put in that position. Not unless if you absolutely do not want the babe. And then, there's the head part. And I'll admit, most of these insecurities are as a result of porn. And yes, I know, porn isn't real. If your babe loves you, she'll love you, blah, blah, blah. But, we need to accept, just the same way I've been saying in many other episodes of Break Time on West Side, we need to accept that porn has influenced pop culture just the same way pop culture has influenced porn. And for us guys, when we see someone with a big dick in porn, we hope that we have the big dick because the porn star, the porn star female will ask for the guy with a big dick. Will say that she prefers the guy with a big dick. So we assume that if you don't have a big dick, then, you won't be able to perform as well in the bedroom. And the thing is, even though babe says size doesn't matter, it's the motion of the ocean, blah, 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 I've listened to a ton of babes who straight up told me, you have to have a good size. Like, if you have a small one, then it's a problem. Of which I do think that guys do need to have those, conversations with themselves where they're like, I have what I have, let me work on making it better and shit. And by better, I mean the skill, not necessarily, the size. Because, that's a very different story. But then there was this other question now, which I had answered, where I was like, if I am to do it, then I do not want it to be with a close friend, and I do not want the babe to be my girlfriend. And the entire idea of it was just one on an intimacy side of it. Like, I don't want to kiss a mouth that's just sucked another nigga's dick. Like, I feel disgusted about that shit because it's like I've indirectly sucked another dick. Or, gone down on a vagina that, that just had someone else's dick there. Like, I wouldn't feel very comfortable doing that. Like, yes, she's probably done it with a bunch of other guys and she's probably, given other people head. So, that mouth, that vagina and shit has had, dicks before. But I'd like to know that at least there was a span of time where she cleaned her mouth, where her vagina, was cleaning itself and didn't have anything else before I went in. So, like, I'm big on, like, intimacy when I'm, like, doing the do. So if that's the case, that would be a problem for me. Then also, now imagine if you're doing it and it's your girlfriend and your best friend and eventually they love doing it together to the point where they can end up cheating on you. Like, that's a fear that us guys will have. Like, I feel like guys will have that fear, and I think the knowledge and the fear that your best friend might be better skilled or might fuck your woman better, or that your woman might fall for your best friend, can create some competition, can create some level of hate that us guys don't like. So we'd much rather avoid that entire shit. Although, then again, like, I'm not, the speaker for all men, and I'm sure there are guys that would be down for it. And, I'd want to know your thoughts on it. Are you down for the devil's threesome, or do you prefer having two babes and one guy? Or are you like me and feel like threesomes and, sex with multiple partners is a very overrated thing for a lot of people right now? On IG, it is at Breaktime on our side. On Facebook, it is also at Breaktime on our side. And on Twitter, you can slide into my personal DMs, which is at Bagaka the D. Thank you so much for listening all the way till the end. And if you are listening through Castbox, feel free to drop your thoughts and comments below, and I will attend to them accordingly. And I will catch you guys on the next break.